Welcome to Spidey Face Syndicate. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We have an amazing episode planned for you, kind of a free-for-all episode tonight. What I had planned seems silly, but we'll probably cover it anyway. We haven't got new points, so we are literally waiting on pins and needles for AMG to come through for us. But with that being said, I thought we would go ahead and still have an episode this week, even with the American footballs that was going on. Tonight is episode 39. I was raised to do one thing, but I've got nothing to fight for. With that being said, let's bring in my co-host, Mr. Charles. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. Hanging in there. A little
Mr.
bit of an
JJ?
allergy evening, but we're hanging in there.
How are you tonight, sir?
Doing all right. You know, obviously my team didn't win the Super Bowl, but
I don't even think I saw your team at the Super Bowl. I could be wrong.
Yes, exactly. Yes, they won.
I don't think any of our teams won the Super Bowl because Chris doesn't even have a team. So,
well, one of the players from a team I used to like won the Super Bowl. So there you go. Okay. So in fairness, that's as close as I've ever come to winning the Super Bowl as a Detroit Lions fan or used to be fan. There you go.
Fair.
But if we could, so before we get into our weekends, because I do just want to talk about our weekends, but can we talk about the Super Bowl a little bit? Are we allowed to do that? Like, is that wrong?
I don't think you're allowed to say Super Bowl. I think that's trademarked or something, and we can get sued or something for using that term.
All right. So Super Bowls.
The big game.
With the green in them.
The superb owl, if you will.
Ooh, I like that one better. My daughter would approve of that. So I was on the way back from a birthday party this weekend, and I got home. I ordered a pizza and some fried mushrooms because I'm a fat ass, and I was going to watch the Super Bowl because I found out you can get it on Peacock if you sign up for their deluxe service for $5 a month or whatever. And then if I cancel within like a couple of days, I get my money back. So I sat down. I got home about halfway through the first quarter and promptly didn't understand why these two teams were even in the Super Bowl. Now, I don't follow football, so maybe the two of you can help explain to me how the Cincinnati team got into the Super Bowl.
So,
because that's crazy, right? They haven't been there forever.
So what happened is they met in a small room with a few influential members of the mob. They paid the correct amount of money. And no, I'm just kidding. So during the season, Cincinnati has had an incredibly good defense. And while not insanely high scoring games, they were able to score more points than their opponents and then run away to save the points for the rest of the match.
Sounds like an Aces game.
Very much so. And then the Rams just had the right players in the right positions. They picked up Odell Beckham after, I think he was a Cincinnati player, and they just kind of dropped him. The Rams picked him up and got Matt Stafford and a bunch of players in the right spot. But realistically, one of the things that I like about the NFL is you don't have to be the best team in the NFL to win the Super Bowl. You just have to be the best team 3 weeks in a row.
Fair enough.
You've got to win your playoff game, then you have to win your AFC or NFC championship game, and then you have to win the Super Bowl itself. And you don't have to be better than every other team. You just have to make less mistakes than the other team that's on the field. And ironically, if I read this correctly, Cincinnati is the first team in the history of the NFL to lose the Super Bowl making less mistakes than their opponent.
It's a pretty interesting statistic, actually. So I don't know. I again, you're talking to the guy. I haven't really watched professional football in years. I watched college football a little bit with my grandfather before he passed, but really outside of that, like I don't care for the football, like the rules and some of the things that used to happen. Right? You know, it's like I like hockey. They beat the shit out of each other. It's usually very fast paced. But ultimately I hate most sports because I feel like everybody is extremely overpaid and then us as fans get screwed because of that. And life would just be better if we could redistribute the money so the owners weren't billionaires and the players weren't millionaires and we could go to a game and not pay $150 for nosebleed seats. I don't know. Like, it's just like if X-Wing ever got to there where people are like, ooh, we're going to pay $3,000 to watch somebody play X-Wing, I'd be like, I'm out, you know? Like,
Listen, I'm out except for if I am in one of the games where people are paying $3,000, because then that means I'm getting paid to play X-Wing, and I'm 100% in for that.
I suppose.
Yeah, we could go pro. Percent.
I was gonna say, you suppose, until someone walks up to you with a check for like 60 grand and says we want to pay you to play X-Wing, and then all of a sudden our principles are compromised by the amount of money that we could possibly make.
I mean, that's going full time, right? Full time into the profession, into the sport, and you're getting paid full time. I mean,
I think I would need a little more than 60 grand to play X-Wing full time.
I mean, look at the major league gamers, you know, the people who play video games professionally in teams for like Rainbow Six Siege or like games like that. They can bank money for their skill in the game. So
they do. I hate the capitalist consumer corporatism that makes more money than the players and screws the rest of us over. That's what I hate more than anything else. You know, like, and I do think the players get, even though some of them are very highly paid, I think the majority of them get screwed personally. You know, I mean, I guess if you got paid 150 grand a year to work, what is it, 6-7 months out of the year, all the time. I don't know. Maybe that would be construction. When I had a friend, did construction, he made 75 grand a year, and he worked March through November, pretty much 6 to 7 days a week, and that's what he got paid. So I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. I just, I don't know. But Charles will. So Charles will represent Plenty Face Syndicate, hands down, and I'm all good on that because we get to trademark that shit and we all get a cut.
Look, I'm going to say this about the NFL. League minimum. That means the crappiest player on the worst team, which is either the Browns or the Lions, gets paid like $300,000 a year.
All right.
And they get to sit on the bench and guard the Gatorade cooler. They don't go out unless like the second string and the first string of their respective position like gets really, really badly hurt. So they get paid $300,000 a year to have front row seats to every NFL game their team plays in. I would do that without a second thought.
Fair enough. So the other thing about the Super Bowl that I always like is not the commercials, even though they can be funny. I always am a big fan of watching the halftime show. Even if I don't watch the actual Super Bowl, I always come back and watch it. Thank you, Silver Phoenix, for subscribing on Prime. I always do go back and watch the performance, and I will tell you, for me, this was one of the best ones. And maybe it's because I'm partial to that music.
Are you partial to Marshall? Look at you.
A little bit, yeah. And Dr. Dre, like, I mean, just seeing the two of them on stage, and then you put Snoop Dogg and Mary J. Blige in, and you've sold me. I don't 50 cents, whatever. I like him as an actor. I think he's actually a pretty decent actor. And obviously a lot. Yeah, dude, you give me 50 instead of Boba Fett, 100%. I'll tell you what, that show would have been a million times better. They would not be on Disney Plus, though. I tell you that right now.
Facts.
Yeah, except that instead of shooting blasters like this, it'll be like this. Come on.
No. Stop.
So I'm gonna say this. The only reason that I don't enjoy the halftime show is and this is an abstract thought, but I am a huge fan of professional wrestling. And when you watch professional wrestling on TV, you get the announcers telling you what's happening, they're reacting, it draws you in more, right? When you go to a physical event, you hear nothing. Because of the Super Bowl's stringent scheduling, none of the instruments are hooked up, none of the mics are live. So what you're hearing on the performance is a pre-recorded live performance, and it is silent in the stadium. The crowd is reacting to nothing. It is dead silent in the stadium. None of the mics are wired. Nothing is wired. It's piped in sound. They go, they do the miming and lip syncing performance, and then they go. And the reason I know this is because a couple of years ago, the Red Hot Chili Peppers did a Super Bowl halftime show with Bruno Mars.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And none of their instruments were plugged in. Not a single instrument for the Red Hot Chili Peppers were plugged in. So it's a great performance, don't get me wrong, but it is 100% acting because there is no sound. You don't hear them. Like, they're not actually performing.
All right. Well, way to be Buzzkill. I'm going to call you Captain Buzzkill. I was excited by this year's performance. I did not know any of that. And I might actually never watch anything for the Super Bowl again, I guess. It's like the one main reason.
Look, hold on. I'm gonna get up on my soapbox because nobody that I know will ever hear this, and I'm just gonna take a minute to air. I've had a rough week. So last Wednesday, my company, who I will not name out loud, signed a contract with a well-known actor to be in our advertising. And then the very next day, let the entire customer service department know that we were no longer required and that they were sending us to an outsourced department. So they paid almost $6 million, I think it was, for a Super Bowl ad containing this actor, a very well-known actor, an actor that I love and I hold no ill will towards. But after they announced how great it was that we acquired him as our spokesperson, my job was deemed redundant. So, yay, Super Bowl.
Yeah. That's awful.
So,
that's always
you know what? Let's talk about Star Wars.
All right. Let's say that's always a hard thing to go through. So, but yes, you're right. Let's transition before Charles goes on a complete rant, and then I have
before
to
I turn into Chris.
Beep, beep, beep. Yeah, before you become me, and it's all over. Then I got to pull the whole episode. All right, so let's talk Star Wars tonight. So the reason I titled the episode "We Got Nothing to Fight For," right, is because we have an event coming up this weekend called Crossroads, right, and it's in Indianapolis, Indiana. If you're in the chat and you're gonna go, let us know. I will be there. Actually, Charles, did you give those sleeves, the extra sleeves, to John?
I did give some to John. I think I still have some extra, but
Okay.
yes, John does have some sleeves.
All right, I got to try and hook up with John to get me those sleeves.
Yep, because what I did was when we bought the packs that Fly Better had, they had like these little swag bags. They were like a grab bag type thing that had random tokens and random alt art cards in them. Any of the alt art cards I didn't use, which was every alt art card I got, because all I could seem to do was pull Poe. I just slid those alt art cards into our sleeves, and then gave them out kind of like a business card to each of my opponent, as though I were being nice and handing out swag.
But really, you just hate Poe. You're like, fuck Poe. I don't need that, dude.
I got so many of the alt art colored fireball pilots that they had made when Farmer was running the 6 fireball list, and I got like 6 or 7 Poes, 1 Lando, and I got one of the alt art Gurries that I was dying when I was not a Patreon for Fly Better when they had them. And then big ups to, just real quick, I gotta shout them out. Big ups to Greg over at Nickel City, and to Chris. I got these in the mail today.
Ooh. Yeah, I gotta check my mail.
From Nickel City. Apparently I won a giveaway of some sort. So got some Lego alt art cards. Those are pretty solid.
It was a Boba Fett one. I knew you'd like that. So
yeah, absolutely. It's Lego, it's Star Wars, it's X-Wing, and it's Boba Fett. That's like the Venn diagram of my life with that card like right in the center of all 4 circles. It's amazing.
Speaking of, I guess before we get too far into X-Wing, speaking of Legos, so I went and saw Matt this weekend for his birthday, and we got a few games of X-Wing in, but come to find out he's got Legos throughout his house. And I thought this was just a Charles thing, right? I like Legos, yes, don't get me wrong, but Charles you are the Lego person out of all 3 of us.
I love Legos. So for me, like, I'll just say it, I have ADHD. And with Legos, I'm able to organize things by colors and shapes. I'm able to focus on putting something together. and it's a lot of fun, especially with like the Boba Fett helmet set, because you basically put together a gigantic block of multicolored gobbledygook for the first like 3 hours of putting it together. And then once you have the center of like the helmet built, you start to build the exterior pieces, and you kind of see it kind of coalesce into the Boba Fett helmet. So I love Legos for that aspect. I believe we have Brickfest coming up in March in Tampa that I'm hoping to be able to go to. So
that would be cool if you do take some pictures and some video. But I didn't know. Like, I guess I thought this was just a Charles things, but I guess it's a Matt thing too. Matt owns a bunch of Lego Star Wars stuff.
Does he have the UCS Slave one?
No, he doesn't. he just started collecting. No, you cannot have mine. I don't even know if I have all the pieces. I was actually going back through and trying to find some of the pieces to it, and I'm disappointed that I don't know if they're all there now.
So look, I will say this. As an addendum to Planning Phase Syndicate, when we transition to our new company, my company that shall not be named is giving us an additional month's salary as well as paying out some of our benefits cash-wise. So I'll get a nice little lump sum. I will do a Planning Phase brick cast of me putting together my UCS Slave 1, followed by me putting together my UCS Millennium Falcon.
Oh, fair enough.
Nice.
And maybe if I'm lucky, I might even draw JJ over here, and we'll have like a Planning Phase like syndicate sit down where we put together the UCS Slave 1 and Millennium Falcon over the course of a couple weeks.
Are you planning to eventually get like a Lego Razor Crest?
He has one.
I already have one, but you can't see it because it's on the lower part of this shelf.
Okay.
I did see it. I did see a TikTok, and I think I shared it in the chat for the group where Bo-Katan and the Mandalorian are in a bookstore, and she holds up a Lego Razor Crest, and she shakes it, and she goes, "Look, it's in pieces, just like yours." And he knocks it out of her hand. It was kind of funny.
So, all right, I guess we're really tangenting, but so
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine because I got another tangent, Lego tangent, and fuck it, I don't care. Whatever.
We don't have content. There's no new like releases.
I do have
anything.
content. I have content. But I do. But okay, so one of Matt's wife, she has a friend that actually auditioned for that Brickmasters TV show.
Oh, yeah?
And she was granted a part to come down and audition in person in California. And
that's awesome.
I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, fuck, Charles owns enough Legos. You could do All-Star, so if you want, message me afterwards. I'll get you the Facebook groups. There's Facebook groups, and I guess these Lego teams like scout these Facebook groups for really good people. No,
I'm not that creative. I'm not putting together my own like Lego things.
Okay.
I can follow the instructions that come in the box.
all right.
that I buy, but I'm not like sitting at home going, I have green and I can build the Eiffel Tower and make it photorealistic.
No. I'm just thinking like you could take your Razor Crest, put it into pieces, and then put like Grogu with his hands over his face, and you can have the Ahsoka standing there. You know, like you could do all sorts of things with it. It would be fun. You could probably build a spider to go with it too. There you go. Spoiler alert. Season 2. Spoiler alert. All right, let's talk X-Wing. I'm sorry. So I apologize. I did have fun this weekend at Matt's house. We played more Marvel Champions than we played X-Wing, in fairness. Matt, you won one game and I won one game. I did try your Resistance Y-Wings, JJ, and you know what they lose to?
Everything.
No. 4 X-Wings and Ahsoka. Or a Hera, sorry. 4 X-Wings and a Hera in Rebels because they move first. So you can ionize them, and as long as they stay far enough back, they go 1, get a focus. Do you want to leave? Oh, you can leave, but then you don't get no shots. You can not use your ion turret and get a 2-dice gun on them. They die.
Damn.
Like horrible death. I rolled bad, but they die a horrible death. I will tell you, I ionized every ship but Hera in that list throughout the course of it. But losing, I lost an X or a Y-Wing for 1 engagement. Second engagement, I lost 1.5. By that third engagement, it didn't matter. I was done for. I lost
Dang.
Rose.
That sucks. Damn.
And so here's the thing. When everybody talk, and I even talk about Scum Y-Wings with TLTs, guess what? They still died. You could still murder them because it's still a Y-Wing.
Yep.
It could do
Yep.
2 damage around, but it's still a Y-Wing. They still die very quickly.
Yep.
By
And
the
I
way,
think
in
if you
case you were wondering, this is I headbutted the rear hatch of a minivan while delivering flowers on Valentine's Day. So that's what the nice little gash on my eyebrow is.
Hopefully you got a bigger tip because of that.
I was loading one of the delivery drivers. I wasn't
Oh.
even like delivering the flowers. I was just helping someone load it, and the gate was lower than I thought it was, and it split my eyebrow. So I don't have any cool stories. So
no extra money. All right, so let's talk some X-Wing. All right, let's do that.
Let's do it.
So let's talk about the Trilogy Tournament first and get that out of the way. So I hear our team is no longer participating in the Trilogy Tournament.
We are participating in spirit.
Yes, unfortunately, we were knocked out this week. We went to this. We got to the second phase of the tournament where it was single elimination, and we had 3 games. Unfortunately, we lost 2 out of the 3 of them. But still, it was a good run for playing face in the Kitche for us. We did pretty decently considering our opponents who we were facing off with. The only win we had was my game from last night, which was a pretty fun game. I got to face off against a Anakin, Obi-Wan in the Edda, and a Click in the V-Wing against my list. And it was funny because he had a fully decked out Anakin in the Delta 7 that was 100 points with chopper and a shield upgrade, and he offered up his Click up to me. Like in the first engagement, I pretty much one-shotted it. Actually, no, I hit it, and then I showed him the dark side, giving him a disable power regulator, and then Tabson killed him. And then after that, it was just hunting down Anakin, and he took a few shots from Tabson and Kylo, and the jam. It was funny because at one point we kept on jamming each other because he ran out of chopper charges, so he was like jamming me, and I was jamming him back constantly. It was hilarious. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Won 150-33. Yeah, they were definitely a great team, and I hope that they do well in the tournament. So yeah.
I will say in my game, he did something I've never seen anybody do, and I really liked what he did. Is because he was running Bosk and Lando, and then Fenrau. So very streamlined Bosk and Lando with Fenrau. And he crab walked Fenrau across the back. He would do like a 1 hard and then a barrel roll and then a 1 hard and a barrel roll, and he just kept him. And so I decided that I would try to dive in, and then the minute I got close enough, Fen jetted out. It came down to a final so it came down to the last shots, Eamon versus Bosk. And he was able to take Eamon out. And just we were kind of talking, and we were like, if I would have spent that focus on defense, it would have saved 1 health. I would have scored the kill shot, which would have triggered his Zam, which would have given him the return shot, which would have killed Eamon and would have sent us to final salvo. So we just screwed around and rolled the dice to see what would have happened in that scenario, and he still ended up winning final salvo. So big ups to him for being such just a chill guy and having a really awesome game. It came down to the wire. It was the last shot with like 2 or 3 minutes left. And it was just insane, but it was a really good game, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Well, that's really the whole point, right? Like, we don't play these tournaments to be only the champions. We play them because we find X-Wing fun. So, and I think it gave everybody a unique challenge. Nabi did. So, props to Nabi on that. And I bet Charles will never run stealth device again.
Nope. And it's not. And so here's the thing. So realistically, it's not because I didn't like it. I enjoyed having stealth device on there, but we compare stealth device to hull upgrade points wise, and they're equal in points. They each give you 1 extra health, or one extra time. because the minute you take a damage, you lose stealth device. Just like the minute you take a damage, you use hull upgrade. The major difference is hull upgrade gives you one more damage that you can take before taking half points. Stealth device does not do that. And that I found in running double fire sprays with stealth device on it was a major point, because that one damage putting me to half changes your playstyle, because now you're running and shooting out of the rear arc instead of still being able to be aggressive. So it's not that I didn't enjoy the stealth device, because I definitely did. It's just there's more economy and utility in a tournament style play on a dual fire spray list out of a hull upgrade than there is out of the stealth device.
Unless they give Boba his crew slot back and you can have Maul, then that changes everything.
Stealth device with Maul for the win. I'm in.
Yep. So, I mean, I will tell you, it was kind of I run stealth device only because it pisses John off a lot, and I think that's kind of funny because John thinks it's the biggest waste of points. But I put stealth device on. I add suits here sometimes, and it drives John nuts too. It's like, why are you doing? But it's the same thing. Like as long as it gets off once or twice, I always consider it a benefit. But I guess I never thought about the half points thing. Like, yeah, you're right. It
that's
does.
What she said. I got to do it. That's what she said. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah. So we'll see. Anyway, we'll see. So it was a good run, gentlemen. I don't know what the next one is. I guess somebody's gonna have an online tournament. I'm assuming somebody will have an online tournament for us to play in.
Yes.
Maybe it'll be 4 players this time, so it could be all 4 of us. But we'll see.
Hey, Friday before Adepticon, aren't they doing the duos tournament?
I think so, but I'm not sure. We could look at that up if we can look that up in a minute.
You're doing Destiny, all right?
I did not buy into it yet.
Okay.
Because there's only 2 people signed up for it. Okay. And I'm going to literally wait until the last minute, unless for some reason like that duel sells out. Otherwise, yes, let's play duels, and like I'm gonna play pods all day. Like there's no reason for me not to play X-Wing that day. I know Corey will be somewhat busy because Corey is associated with GSP. And Sean and I were Sean doesn't know if he's going to come down Thursday or Friday. So, but we'll have a plan, I think, set in stone here this weekend, because we're all going to Crossroads minus JJ. And yeah, and I miss all right, and minus Charles too.
Thank you.
But you're not
JJ,
going
you're not alone, sir.
You're not going to Adepticon though, so we already know that.
I would love to be able to go to Adepticon. I just can't afford the trip to Chicago. Not after. I'm still recovering from Vegas. Vegas, for those of you that have never been to Vegas, Vegas was like $100 a day. It was terrible. Like, don't get me wrong, I had a wonderful time, but it was terribly expensive. And I didn't do anything. I spent like one day doing something. Just food and existing was $100 a day. Well, that, and I got these.
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah, that would.
I got flasks, and these are amazing. But other than that, like, I did nothing while I was in Vegas and still managed to spend $400 in 4 days.
Yeah, I don't know why there's no face packs at Crossroads other than it's Indiana. We will probably be. I will probably be wearing face packs myself, because that's just me. I don't know. I tried playing X-Wing with the face mask, and it's different. I'll tell you that. But I think that's probably what I'm going to do, just because. So I already had COVID, if you didn't know. That's why I didn't go to LVO. And that's why I am going to Crossroads. It's because I didn't go to LVO. But I think there were, I don't know. We were talking about it at our local, are we going to wear face mask? And it went from like 35 people to 70 people this week. So there's a higher probability I'm going to wear one than before.
Yeah. If we want to go at LVO, face masks were required.
Yeah, they're not
to the point that if you had a water bottle and you wanted to hydrate, they had special rules provisions for a judge to come over to allow you to leave the hall before taking your mask off so that you could hydrate and then come back to your game.
All right, that's a little over the top for me.
Well, I mean, to be fair, so we had Heaver, who was a nurse. We had what is his name? Why can't I think of his name? The one who won.
Howard? No. Isophane.
Isophane was there, and Isophane is a doctor. Like, I mean, there were a lot of medical staff there, so that was not ill-advised, right? It wasn't just someone made up these rules, and it worked. But like,
that's okay. I get why they want to do it. That's over the top for me. I work for a healthcare company. Like, we are required to wear a mask no matter where we go.
Oh yeah, I said Heaver. I meant Duncan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Duncan Howard was,
I meant Duncan Howard. I'm sorry, not Paul Heaver. Sorry.
Like, I get if you fully take it off to take a drink, but like you could lift it up and take a drink. I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, that's I'm pretty.
I would personally use a straw, honestly.
Yep.
Just a straw under the mask, and you're fine.
Nope, that was not.
Yeah, see,
if you needed to drink, you needed to leave the hall. Even like there were people that had camelbacks. They were having to leave their game and go out to drink from the straw in the camelback. And I get it. It's fine. I just didn't drink during the matches. I would wait until my match was done and I would go out and get a drink.
That's fair.
But
yeah.
That's hard for me, though. How about this?
You can't have scotch. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. That's not why. It's because my blood pressure medication makes me a lot more. I drink more water than before. So anyway, yeah, you too. But you drink less water per se.
Water.
You don't. Oh, come on. I do drink a lot of water. In fact, I do. I actually drink quite a bit of water. I don't drink scotch.
I'm getting Chris a t-shirt for Christmas. This is water with finger quotes around it.
in a scotch glass on the back or on the bottom,
yes,
right where my stomach goes. There you go.
No, you know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna get you force tokens that have a highball glass on one side, and then when you flip it over to spend the force, it says water with finger quotes around it.
All right, I'll play those.
Those will be the official force tokens of Planning Phase Syndicate.
I'll 100% fly Jedis just to play that, just to use those. Yeah, for me, the alcohol at the table, right, whatever. I don't care. But for me, the water would be a really hard sell. That's a hard sell. But either which way, where the hell were we? I think we just
sidetracked. Crossroads.
Yeah,
something about Crossroads.
So we finished off the Trilogy Tournament, and we tangented into Crossroads.
Okay. Man, that was a long tangent.
Yeah, we're talking about duos, and then we got into Crossroads.
All right, so good. So what I want to do is, I guess we were going to talk about the Sith Takers, but I think we already talked about that last week, and I think I told JJ to do something, and I think he did, and now I don't remember why I told him to do any of those things. So we're going to move on to discuss AMG's points update, because that's really the key to this segment. And what I wanted to talk about before we do the Boba Fett stuff. And I want to talk about it for two reasons. One, they had a release last week at the end of a paint stream where they essentially said, hey, we're going to have everything out by mid-February. It's all legal right now. Now, when somebody tells me mid-February, and then 2 seconds later they say, well, February is a short month, so that probably will mean the last week of February, I immediately become skeptical that this is, going to happen before Crossroads, and B, I'm a little skeptical it's even going to happen before whatever the event in North Carolina is.
Oh, the Cherokee Open?
Yes, the Cherokee Open. So I'm even skeptical of that's going to happen before that. I was hoping for points in fairness last weekend so that I had a week to play with. And I'll tell you what, if they release them on Friday, we have a plan for Crossroads in case they do it. We're all bringing 2 factions that we like, and we're bringing all of our cards, all of the ships, and we're going to theory craft the whole way down to Indiana in the car because we don't know what else to do, right? And so what I thought would be would be fun to discuss is so JJ wanted to do kind of a segment a little bit on the different scenarios. So what I want JJ to do is kind of go over the scenarios, but on a high level. I don't need 10 minutes a segment. I just need like 5 minutes for you to give me the highlights of each of the ones that you know about. And then what I want to do is kind of talk about points changes that we could possibly see. Right? So, the rumor, in fairness, and I'm telling you, I've heard this from like more than one person, is Boba Fett is getting crew slot back. Now, I wonder if people are just trolling, But I've heard this from 4 separate people who know people that play test. So I'm
Boba Fett is making a comeback, fools. It's happened. I'm gonna run Boba Fett until the wheels fall off of it, or until I get a gauntlet.
Well, and then I'm going to be running a gauntlet and Fen in Rebels just to counter your Boba Fett. But
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, and I will bet this right now. Scum Fen will outfly Rebel Fen all day, every day, period.
I don't know about that. I don't agree with you on that one. But either which way, what I thought
you're entitled to be wrong, Chris. It's okay.
All right, we'll see. We'll see. But what I wanted to do is I want JJ to go over the scenarios real quick on an extremely short, high level. And I kind of want to talk about points. Like, what do we think are points adjustments, things that we could see? I don't think we could predict what they're going to pull and take away or leave in extended or take out of take out a standard. But I do think that what we can do is talk about points differentials, right? Because if we talk about, for example, droids being able to sit on rocks with objectives, and then droids also being able to be somewhat dominant in a dogfight, we have a problem. That's a problem to some extent. So what I want JJ to do is go through their scenarios. We're going to listen, and then we're going to kind of talk about points and what we think are going to change. And here's where JJ can then take some notes, but when he takes them, he can put a note that says, these are the predictions that we have, and we can see if we're right or wrong. Because I think if they give Boba his slot back, Fen goes up in points. Personally, that's my opinion.
Yeah, so
that's my hot take.
The one of the ones that they talked about in the Fly Better podcast stream was the dogfight actually scenario that they had planned. So essentially, it's going to be similar to what we have now here for like what we play for standard X-wing here. Where you have your 200-point list versus another 200-point list, and you face off each other. The difference here is that will be a marker in the center of the board that if you manage to have more ships in the center within range 2 of that particular point, more than your opponent, then you score objective points for maintaining control of that particular sector during the dogfight there. So it is possible to still outscore your opponent if they decide to play cagey outside of it, if you can just maintain control of the center of it. Just going over that particular scenario in there, I think that things that can play area denial, particularly bombs, will go up in stock for that particular scenario, because if you can manage to control the center of the board, either by holding seismic charges around rocks or holding bombs to discourage people from coming in through certain lanes to get towards that particular center, are definitely going to have a higher stock. Ships that can move slow, that can do those one straights, are definitely really good, because that helps you move the minimal amount of distance and still stay in range, or even full stop ships that can do that as well. Will definitely go up in stock for that. What are your thoughts on that so far?
I think the problem I have is, did they think about those things when they created it? If they did, and that's why it's taken so long for us to get these points, I think you're right in the aspect of anything that has a 0 stop immediately has to have, like, there has to be something. Okay, I hate picking on Scum because it feels like I'm just being a dick to Scum. But think about Bosk with a 180 arc being able to stop with objectives, with Zam. I mean, okay, that's... And maybe if they create a restricted list where you can't have 2 of one thing on a list and do it by faction, and you say, okay, for this scenario, you can't have Bosk and Zam. Okay, hey, I don't care if he can 0 stop. Stocks do go up, yes. But Bosk without Zam is not as good as Bosk with Zam in that scenario.
Disagree wholeheartedly. I don't think Zam makes it that important. The only thing that Zam really gives Bosk is a target lock.
It's a free target lock. Yeah, absolutely. It's a free second mod.
Yeah, but with Gleb or with what am I can't think of it. My brain is mush. The one that allows you to hold your focus token.
Protectorate Gleb.
Yep. No, Gleb gives you, I thought Gleb gives you the
Oh,
coordinate.
no, Gamut Key. Sorry.
Gamut Key. Thank you.
Key. Yeah,
Gamut Key allows you to save your focus. So you just plan a turn ahead and save your focus and take a target lock anyway. Yes, Zam gives it to you for free, but Bosk is just as potent without Zam. I promise. I've flown him since 1.0, and Zam didn't exist in 1.0. Bosk is a beast no matter what.
I agree, but I think in these tournament styles where you have zone control, I think Zam and Bosk are greater. And you could still put Gamut Key and Zam on Bosk in that scenario and get both of it.
Party bust it up, man.
Hey, and Greedo, and soon the frickin' Mandalorian. So, like, I think
no, you can't. So you can't fit the Mandalorian and Greedo and Bosk, and like there's only two crew slots and a gunner, so something's got to give. You have to get rid of Zam or Gamut Key in order to fit Mando on there. But
okay, either which way though, I think that's when we look at things that can stop and take double shots. That's when we, start to get. And I don't want. Again, I'm not trying to pick on Scum because I don't think Scum's the only one that has that. Really, like that's not just a Scum thing. For example, a Falcon in Rebels can take Biston and float around rocks in a circle all day long, and they have better dials than Bosk has, and then they have access for Force users all the time. And so again, this is not just a Scum issue. Thank you. There. But I think when we talk about that scenario, like JJ said, yes, stocks are up on anything that can stop. I think stocks go up on anything that can stop and take a double tap.
I think one way that you could curtail that is work into the rules that a ship may not maintain a non-motion for more than one turn.
Yep.
So yes, you could zero stop, but then that removes Leia, making the zero stop white, so you can zero stop, then do a zero stop again if there was another way to make it white or whatever the case may be.
With Fen taking your fucking stress away.
Here's one thing to consider too as well, right? Because one of the things that they also mentioned is that they said that even though you'll get points for maintaining the center or like maintaining that area, they said that the fastest way to win is still eliminating your opponent, right? If you manage to wipe out your opponent's forces, then all those points that they gather in the center means nothing. So would you sacrifice good positioning, because you're trying to basically go in circles in that range to bubble around it and expose your rear flank just for the sake of keeping that position? Or would you try to at least hold it for one turn or two and then go after a particular ship?
I think it depends.
But I'm always for exposing my rear flank, just saying.
He loves doing it. I have pictures, and I bet you John has more from Vegas.
Yeah.
Listen, the rimming rancher only comes out specific times of the year, sir.
So at least you're the one getting rimmed. All right, we're gonna move on because that's like past rated R here, friends.
And on to the next topic.
Ugh. I told you the story about my daughter. Never mind. We're not going to go back down that road.
Nope, we're not going there.
So the other scenario that they actually did on stream the first time when they were introducing some of the newer notes is a zone control, where you and your opponent, after you deploy obstacles on the board, you deploy basically a satellite token within range 2 of your player edge, and then one in the center, and you gain points according to how many ships you have within range 1 of that particular object on the board. So you can actually potentially have up to 2 different locations, if not 3, if you really spread your forces out and gain points over time. And the scoring on the ships is different depending on it's going to have modified scoring depending on the size of the ship, and basically reducing it to like single digit numbers. So this is probably going to be one of the first objectives where it's going to have kind of like an asymmetric scoring based on the type of ship that you have in your list. So this will actually encourage more like large base ships and medium base ships, since they score more points than small base ships there, which will actually shift the meta from what we see for like triple aces and stuff for that particular type of thing. Now, when you compare it to how they want to set up the tournament style for standard, when you're cycling through these objectives, um, having a zone control list and a dogfighting list are going to be two very different builds. So trying to have a list that can go and do well in these very different type of scenarios is going to be tough. It's going to be tough to balance. Honestly, for the second one, for the zone control, you do kind of want to have a little more tankier ship to try to maintain control and hold its own if you're going to try to control at least two of those objective points.
Well, I look at it similarly, right? And I don't know how this is going to work, but in my brain, right, the way that I see it working is kind of like what we were talking about last week with Kravik, when we were talking about how the Legion tournament is set up. That on a table for a Legion tournament, you have 4 different settings. So each table or each row was so many different terrains. And so if you built like a rocket launcher squad that required open air, but then you drew someone that was playing on a city, you know, it's like a back alleyway in the city or something, your list is not well there. So I think this is also going to start creating a meta of a generic build that will not necessarily be great at one thing, but it will be okay and be able to be malleable to work towards different play styles. So like in Magic, you have, you know, the blue deck that's counter, you have the red deck that's burn, you have the green deck that is creature destruction. But when you're playing in a tournament, you want to find a play style within your specific faction, if you will, that will allow you to adjust depending on what scenario you get dealt.
And I think you're right to some extent on that. Like, I think that's going to be a thing because I don't know, and that was one of the downsides a lot of people had with some of these scenario based things, right? Is because I like flying my named ships, except for droid swarms, which are not named ships. But you know, I like that aspect of some of those things, and I think one of the things that I hope AMG considers is you don't want to take out all of these good. Like, I don't want to not be able to fly Boba to some extent, or really, okay, for me it's Dengar. I like flying Dengar. I think it's fun. I think it's a challenge because of the dial is extremely unique in X-Wing compared to a lot of other dials, and it presents a different challenge to fly him than other ships I've flown. And I just don't want those things to disappear per se. I like getting away from just strict dogfighting, but I worry about that. And maybe that kind of leads us into more of a points discussion, right? Do you think that some of these named pilots will go down in price, right? Like, do you think Fenn's going to go down in price because of this? You know, I hope not, personally. Just like I hope droids don't go up in price, selfishly. But on both sides, there's a high probability of both. Droids will go up in cost, and we could see Fenn take a cost reduction because of these style of scenarios where Fenn needs to be more versatile, and nobody wants a 70-point ship that pops 50% of the time in that type of a scenario. You just don't want that. So if Fenn is 55 points and he pops, that's like Soontir Fel. You know, that puts him at Soontir Fel level, you know, which, Charles, that actually speaks to a discussion that we've always debated which is the better pilot. And if you think about it,
Ben Rao is the better pilot.
Soontir Fel is cost so fucking low compared to Fenn. Like, if we actually talk about, like, why is he costed that much more, right? You know,
because he needs 2 modifications to stand up.
So here's the thing, right? What we're thinking about.
JJ's like, don't worry, Soontir, I got your back.
So no. I'm talking about an actual possible reduction in Fenn Rao, and here's the reason why, right? Because part of the new rules, right, is the bumping rules, right? You know, about being able to take those range 0 shots and still getting a mod if you bump an enemy ship, right, with focus. Fenn Rao's ability only works at range 1, not at range 0. So if you actually bump Fen Rao and you manage to take that range 0 shot into Fen Rao with the focus, chances are you are going to get some damage into Fen, possibly, and he
Yeah,
won't be able
because
to mod.
his extra die ability doesn't work, and Concordia doesn't work because you're
That's
not
right.
at range 1 in arc, you're at range 0 in arc.
Yep, exactly. So now he does fall. He does feel a lot more like a very fragile Fen Rao, or sorry, Soontir fell. The only difference is that with Soontir, he will still get that extra focus if you have somebody in bullseye, and she doesn't get stressed. If you end up bumping with Fen and you end up taking that focus, it's going to be red, which means you're not going to be able to turn around. Soontir can still get that bullseye focus, and he can actually get double focus, right? Because he could still take the red focus on his turn and then get the bullseye focus again because he gets that. So he gets 2 different mods.
It's a token instead of an action.
Yeah.
Okay, so does Soontir go up in price then? Technically speaking, right?
He could, yeah.
We should see a price increase. I didn't think about that because if you bump him, it's guaranteed. It's a guaranteed free focus. I didn't even think about that.
Not if you bump into him. No, it's not. If I side arc bump or like come in behind and bump in the rear, he doesn't get a free. I'm not in his bullseye.
Okay, but if you bump me in the rear, I'm going to leave you. Like, I don't care. Bump me in the rear, whatever. I'm gone. Yeah. See ya. Have a nice time.
Yeah. The other thing is ships that have primary turret arcs, right? Because when you're bumping, you can only take the range 0 shot with a primary weapon. So you take a look at the Jump Master that has a primary turret arc, or like the Falcon as well, or the YT
Shadowcaster without the title.
Yeah, exactly. So, those ships will, I mean, granted, they're not going to be standard, but if you still use the same rules, and extended, they'll be eligible for that.
Okay. The Jump Master is.
Does this give the Hawk a different? Does it give the Hawk a different variance as far as price? Because right now, without the Moldy Crow title, they only have the turret arc.
Yep.
So do you get a point reduction? Yes, I know you can add the primary arc for 18 points, 100%. But without that primary arc, can I bump and still take a side arc shot if my primary is a turret?
Yeah.
So you can take it, but not at range 0 as of what we know now. I actually think they should amend that, and that's a great catch. I never thought about that, but that almost has to be amended to printed arc. So it should say primary printed arc. So for example, on an SF, right, they have a primary and a turret arc. It should only be the primary that's range 0, right?
So,
but on a Hawk...
But that poses a question. The Fire Spray's arcs are both printed. They have the front and the rear. They're both a primary shot. Not one is a secondary over the other. Right, JJ?
Yeah.
Aren't they both a primary arc?
Yeah,
so if you're allowed to take shots at range 0 out of your primary arc, that means that the Fire Spray is going to go way up in value because both of those front back are considered a primary arc. It's not an SF where you have to rotate an arc in order to get it, or an A-wing where you've got to use your vectored, cannons to change. They're just a standard front back arc.
Well, they will go. Okay, I think that's a different scenario, and I agree with you. I think they will go up in price. Sadly, like that.
Yeah, we need them to be more expensive because Fire Sprays aren't expensive enough.
I don't like that, but they could go to just saying the front primary arc, and if you don't have a front primary arc, whatever your primary, they could do that. I don't know that they could be wordy, but
that'd be one hell of an errata. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah,
that would definitely be very different. But I never thought about that because, yeah, you're right. Anything that's a double tap or, again, Boss doesn't have a primary 180. He has a 180 primary arc, not 90-degree primary arc, right? So like his is completely different too. You bump Bosk on the side, he's just going to shoot you at range 0 anyway. And in fairness, to some extent, Boss doesn't care. As much about that.
I was saying because his primary arc's 180 degrees.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a good question. I wonder how they're going to solve that because there's too many multiple style arcs, and it would be very unfair if we lose Hawks. That just seems shit to me. Like to me, that just seems the worst. And like You want to know what I've been running in Scum that I don't play very often, but I've been running in Scum? Kanan. I love Kanan.
Torkoal Mux.
No, I hate Torkoal Mux. I don't run Torkoal Mux. I'll tell you what. If the meta shifts and Torkoal Mux is the best ship to play, I'll be playing them. There you go. Because I'm a sucker sellout like that. I just want to win.
I mean, you are a CIS player. That's how that works.
Hey, I've been playing CIS consistently in tournaments, even when Rebels were okay and better. Just saying.
Yeah, Mystic. Shadowcaster and Kirax reprints. Yeah, I wish, man. Those would be great to have.
God, give me Shadowcaster in 2.0, please.
Well, and see, this is the question of, do we need the reprinted ship or can't they just, I don't know. That's the shit that drives me nuts. I own a Shadowcaster. I own a Kirax. I don't own the Alpha Starfighter. I don't need another effing ship. I just need them to say this is okay, you know.
So here's the thing. They've already gone away from the whole extended to hyperspace reality that we had been living in, right? Because hyperspace was ships that had been released in 2.0 and extended was everything. So if we're switching to different tournament formats, they could make certain ships available for certain formats. So you could have the Shadowcaster, you could have these ships. The only reason it's mattered here recently was because of the black box format, which was only ships that were released in 2.0. But that's not an official AMG format. That's just something that we came up with for the in-person tournaments that we're running.
They did state that that standard would include only ships that have been re-released in black box. So that's
well, then get to re-releasing every ship in black box.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. One of the reasons why I think they do need to eventually re-release, and I think why they're waiting to re-release these ships, is that there's still room for more pilots to be added on to those particular ships, either when they're released from black box or in card packs. For the Shadowcaster in particular, we do see it in episode 9 in the Battle Exegol. So do we know that Ketsu is the one flying the ship? We don't know. It could have been a different person. Yeah, could have been. Oh, I thought she was dead though. But anyway,
did you see a corpse? This is Star Wars. Did you see a corpse?
Well, I mean, they wrote about her corpse, but anyway. So I mean, this, you know, it opens the door for that. Or if they do like a book of Asajj Ventress, you know, eventually one day on Disney Plus, they might have more Shadowcaster pilots there.
Hashtag give Asajj a show. I would watch it. One of my favorite Star Wars characters. She's so amazing.
Have you read the books?
No.
Oh, all right.
When they okay, so look, Chris, just real quick, because I know we're talking about important like X-Wing stuff. I stopped reading books when they became legends.
It's not a legend book, it's
not a legend
canon.
book. Yeah, it's canon.
No, I'm saying when they made the distinction that I had spent 15 years of my life reading books that now didn't matter for anything, I was like, I'm not gonna read books anymore then.
Look, it led me to meet Timothy Zahn and get a signed book for him for Thrawn. I mean,
I don't want to hear that because my son tried to talk me into that and I denied it and said that was dumb. And now I regret that wholeheartedly. And if he comes to Comic-Con, I will 100% have all 3 of my books there for him to sign with a picture.
It was worth the 2.5 hour wait. That's all I'm saying.
I was going to say Margaret Weiss and Timothy Zahn go to Gen Con a lot. And I think Timothy Zahn goes to Dragon Con quite a bit, which is in Atlanta.
I do like Dragon Con. I do. We've been thinking about Gen Con. I don't know. Anyway, back to the show. Yeah, so I agree, Wookiee Barber. I don't think they're going to release or hold points back. I think that creates a different complication where they have to cut those points out. Though, to me, I'll tell you what. Give me the effing points for the ships you can't release anyway. I don't care. Just give them. Like, me, we're going to sit down. Oh my God. Can you imagine if we got gauntlet points before we got the ship? Like, that just...
Yeah, I think they
that would just fix everything. Like, we could start theory crafting. We could start playing all these other things. I mean, like, I'm 100% in on playing Mando. So, like, more than the gauntlet right now. So
in the past, they've actually released points for ships before they were actually released, at least a week or two before in the past. So I can easily see them releasing all the points for the gauntlet and everything because they've already spoiled the majority of the cards. So why not? Why not spoil it?
Yeah, give me Give me points because, oh my god, you're not getting an N1. There's no N1 coming for a while.
Yeah, there is. There absolutely is.
You know
In
that?
2
You
years.
talk to somebody? Yeah,
In
No,
2 years. 2 years. This is my prediction. 2 years.
Okay,
from now.
fine. I'm saying you're not getting it anytime soon. We ain't gonna see that.
So here's what I'm gonna say on this. Right,
There's
we're
a
gonna
Lego
speak
kit.
We're gonna speak merchandising for a second. So when Disney released The Mandalorian, Grogu was not a thing. He was not intended to be anything more than season 1. He was a MacGuffin that was supposed to go. The internet exploded. I live in Orlando, Florida. I was a Disney pass holder when Mando season 1 came out. And when Mando season 1 came out, you know what did not exist in any Disney park ever? Any Mandalorian gear whatsoever. When it started to sell, when people started hashtag Baby Yoda on the internet, when the internet exploded with how cute he was, everything they treated him like Gene Simmons treated Kiss. If you could put Baby Yoda's face on it, there was a market for it at Disney. They had Spirit jerseys and phone cases and Crocs and socks and hats and shirts and everything. So if the N1 becomes popular enough, while yes, JJ, I respect your 2-year time frame, the reality is if the mouse says the ship exists now, all it takes, they don't even have to re-release the ship, right? All we get is a new Pilots of the Republic pack. And you have Mando in a card pack. All they have to do is print a card. They don't have to make a ship. They don't have to errata anything. They just release the pilot card.
But it's physically different, and people associate stuff. They'll recognize the Mando ship more, or the Mando N1 more than they recognize the Episode 1 N1 Starfighter.
You're not wrong. I'm just saying if the mouse wanted it to exist so they could monetize it, it will happen. The mouse has enough money that they can push something through development as fast as they choose to or want to. And that's true just as much as I do.
True.
We'll see. I don't think they will. Okay, how about this? We could do an over-under bet. But I'm gonna put stakes on this because like all these over-under bets, whatever, who gives a shit? Let's put stakes. Who's ever closest buys the other 2 ships.
Yeah, I'm in.
And whoever's wrong, like, so if I'm wrong and I buy the 2 of you ships.
So what is your prediction? We're not getting one at all?
No, absolutely not. I think that's bullshit. I 100% believe we're going to get one, whether we get it in card or plain form, whether I get a new reprint or whether I get the just cards for it.
Okay. You said 2 years, right?
JJ said 2 years.
And I'm going to add a stipulation. It will be similar. It'll be a Worlds exclusive, similar to what they did with Plo Koon, that comes with an alternate art and a dial, and it'll be a Worlds exclusive for X-Wing that they'll only do for that. So
I don't think they'll do it like they did Plo Koon. You want me to tell you what I think they're going to do? If it's a Worlds exclusive, they're going to do it like they did with the Royal N1.
The silver one, yeah.
The Royal Naboo N1.
Yeah.
It's the silver handmaiden ship. But I think
that was a Gen Con exclusive, right?
That was, or was that a Gen Con exclusive?
I think it was a Gen Con exclusive.
No, was it an Adepticon?
It might have been it was an Adepticon. If you bought Adepticon, you got it. But then when Adepticon got canceled, they had a bunch of them. Then they were able to they purchase them out. I say that we see it for Worlds. So I say that's a year or less.
So you think before the end of 2022, we'll have it?
Yep. I think we'll see it for Worlds.
Huh?
I say 2023 mainly because they have.
Well, that's not 2 years, JJ. You said 2 years.
Yeah,
right,
look, he has a product of the
2024
public school system. He's trying, okay?
No, I'm not. I never went to school here. Kidding me? I wouldn't even know how to turn my computer. Anyway, no, not here. Not here. I have a very long, complicated school history. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't think 2 years. I think if it's cards, we see it in early 2023. I think if it's cards in a ship, we see it late 2023. So,
So you're saying the same thing that I did within a year?
A year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you putting this in the note document, JJ?
You know what? I should. Yeah.
Yeah, because we need who's going to buy the other person 2 ships. If it's a world's exclusive, by the way, we all just fail, and like I don't know what the fuck to do then. Like, because I can't.
I said it's a world's exclusive, so
I know it's like if you
looks like you're buying off of eBay. Fool.
No, that's not how that's going. No, none of us have $300 to spend on that shit. You and I both know we couldn't pony up $600, or even I cannot pony up $300. That's like a slave one for you, man. That's like your bonus right there. like that's not. You and I both know that's okay. Man. I'll take a $30, $40 bet, but I'm not taking a $300 bet. Sorry, that's out of my price range.
I'm gonna give you a virtual high five for the WizKids reference because you're not wrong.
All right. Anyway, so that was 2 scenarios, right, JJ?
Yes. The other 2 I'm not very well versed on. I'll actually have to re-look them up again. I lost my notes here somewhere. But
you're too busy daydreaming about the Scumman one.
Yeah, actually, yes.
With a 2 straight boost.
Look, we did when you were gone. JJ and I gave our prediction of what that ship will be. So by the end of the show, that'll be the last piece of the show. Is you can give us what you think that ship's going to be, because JJ already did it and it was fun. That was like the best part of 2022 so far. Like when we did that, so that was fun. I was very excited by that. Next week we'll do Bad Batch. There you go. Anyway, which neither one of you watched.
Yeah,
I watched like the first 3 episodes. Again, the animation is meh.
The only thing you have on me is just the last 3 Throne books. That's it.
In High Republic.
And okay, fine. High Republic, yes. That's it.
Because I am on the last High Republic.
Either of you played KOTOR?
Yes.
No. I don't know what that is.
Did you play the second one, JJ? Both of them?
No, just the first one.
Okay. Because KOTOR was the only reason I bought an Xbox. I was a hardcore PlayStation guy until KOTOR came out. And then I'm like, I guess I gotta buy an Xbox now. Right. If you get the option to play that, it is available on mobile platforms now. That's how powerful cell phones have gotten. You can play games that were designed for the original Xbox on your cell phone now. I highly recommend. It's like $4.99 in the Play Store. It's amazing.
All right, yeah, I'll have to look that up after this. So, all right, Charles, while JJ's looking all those other things up, what is your other predictions for what'll go up in cost? Or down, either which way?
So here's the thing. I would like droids to go up so that they're not so swarmy, but I think that goes against what the ship is for. Because every time that you see droids, it's not a single droid fighter and a scimitar, right? Droids are a swarm. That's what they're designed to be, whether they're on the ground, whether they're in a ship, whatever the case may be, droids are always a swarm. When I look at what I saw at LVO, when I look at the way people are building out for things, I think that some of the non-ace pilots for FO should come down in price, if you want my honest opinion. Because people will run Kylo, people run Hollow, people run Von Reg for the aces lists, but you very rarely see someone running the test pilot, the Signer Jameis test pilot, or the undernamed not I5, I6 pilots for FO, unless you're running like a Focho Swarm or something like that. So I would like to see that come down in points. I would like to see generic Jedi go up a little bit. Not because they're wickedly overpowered, but just when you get 4 or 5 CLT Jedis or 4 or 5 Delta 7B Jedis, it's a pain to deal with because 3 agility dice are insane when you have force behind them. Or when you can, like for instance, I played an Ahsoka, and Ahsoka can take like 3 actions in a turn. Because she completes her maneuver, she spends to boost, then she spends her ability to take an evade or a target lock, or I'm sorry, evade or focus, and then she can take her regular action to take a target lock. So you can reposition and then double token. You could double reposition and single token every 2 or 3 turns with Ahsoka if you wanted to. And that gets to be a little out of hand. So I'd like to see Jedi go up a little bit. Not a lot. Not an insane amount.
So to kind of, and I do agree with you here. So let me kind of walk you through one of the interactions I had yesterday with my game. So the list I was playing against was a Delta 7 Anakin that had the Chopper Astromech, which allows him to, for 2 charges, he can take a red evade, and he had an ETA Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? So and he did this on 2 separate turns because he only had 2 charges. He can move Anakin within range 1 of one of my ships. It could be a regular maneuver. He takes a red evade because at the wording for Chopper happens after you fully execute a maneuver. So he takes a red evade, then spends a force to use Anakin's ability to remove the stress that he just got. Then he Obi-Wan Kenobi now triggers at that point, which Obi-Wan can spend a force now to give Anakin a focus because he executed a maneuver, and as long as he had more enemies than friendlies at range 1, he can now take a focus. Anakin now can spend a second force to do the chassis' ability to either boost or barrel roll by spending a force, which he did to arc dodge. And then now he has his regular action, which he can use to either target lock or boost or barrel roll if he didn't do that prior to that. So in the span of one movement, he managed to get about 4 to 5 different actions.
Yep.
Just by spending 2 force, or actually 3, one of them being Obi-Wan Kenobi's.
Ahsoka can do that without Obi-Wan or Anakin even being involved, because her ability is once she completes a maneuver, she can do her fine-tuned controls. Then once she does that, she can spend another force to do her ability and then take her actual action. So even without no stress involved, no stress whatsoever, she burns both force to get double reposition and then her action for a token, or single reposition plus double token potentially. Like, she does it with just force. There's not even stress involved. So Chopper's not even required for Ahsoka.
Yeah. So I mean, it does take. I mean, it's not something they can do consistently, turn after turn without force starving yourself. But it is something that can happen that no other chassis can really do that well with minimal consequences, right? Negative effects there. So.
All right. Any other predictions or thoughts that you have, Charles?
Not really off the top of my head. I would like to see some things come down in points that aren't getting a lot of play. But that's just the way I roll. I like you said in our chat earlier, Chris, I like to play the non-meta lists. I like to see Eamon. I'd like to see Koshka come down in points. I'd like to see what's the other one? There's the fire spray that does good with generics. Like, it's an amazing ship.
Cass Scarlet.
Yeah, I'd like to see Cass Scarlet come down in points to make them a little more. I'd love to see the generic I2 come down in points. I think 82 points for an I2 pilot is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, like, don't get me wrong, Fire Spray is a strong ship. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying that it needs to come down into like the 60s or the low 70s, but like a 2-point reduction on a generic pilot on a ship that doesn't see a lot of play. Right, because when you look at scum fire sprays, it's Boba and it's Eamon. Occasionally Koshka Frost. When you look at fire sprays for CIS, it is always Jango Zam. I've never seen anybody fly anything other than Jango Zam in a CIS fire spray.
So I want to point out, though, a generic fire spray is 62 in scum and 63 in CIS.
I thought it was
That's
80,
odd.
Maybe.
No.
I thought it was more expensive than that, but still. Like,
I wonder why.
That. If we look at, if we're looking at that, right, and we compare that to let's go the YV, right, because it's got the I2 YV 666 is 51 points. So we are talking a 34-point difference for a ship that has.
It's not 34, man.
Or no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Boba. Sorry, disregard. But still, 62 to 51, that's a 9-point swing, and you get 2 extra health. Yeah, you lose 1 agility die, but you get 2 extra health and a 0 stop. Like, I'm not saying it needs to drop a lot, but I'd like to see the generic pilots come down. I'd like to see Koshka. I don't know why Koshka at I3 is valued, so close to Eamon at I4, but Koshka at I4 is less points, or Kath is less points than Koshka.
See,
who is, is an I4. There's no, when you look at the way the scum pointed out, there's no semblance of order that 2s are less than 3, but there's a 3 that's more expensive than 1-4, but is 1 point cheaper than the other 4. The only one that I don't think needs to change is like Boba and Eamon, but I do think that like Crassus Trellix, something needs to be done with his points, because why would I run him? His ability is pointless. Because the only thing that you can put on him that does more damage, that's a special attack, like you put an ion cannon, but why on earth would you take a range 1 ion cannon shot for 4 dice when you could take a range 1 damaging shot for 4 dice? Like, there's no benefit to his ability other than it allows you to take like a proton torpedo out the back if you can get a proton torpedo on there, you know what I mean, or a missile or something like that. But like, don't get me wrong, I love the fire spray as a ship, but I just think that an I2 fire spray versus an I2 slaver, there's no reason why I wouldn't want to run. I can fit 3 slavers party bust. You can't fit 3. I mean, you can fit 3 bounty hunters into a list, but you don't have a whole lot of points for anything else.
Fair enough. For me, I think my hot take is Jake needs to go up in points. And I say Jake in Rebels goes up 10 points. That's my hot take for everything.
So you think he's more valuable than Hera?
Jake's 34 going up to 44. Hera's 48.
Oh, okay, yeah, fair. Yeah.
So
I thought he was 38 for some reason. Okay.
Nope, he's 34.
Okay.
So I think Rebels as a whole, because of token sharing, needs to go up in points, period. I won't
limit the token sharing.
Or limit the token sharing. I would agree with you on both the courts.
I look at from a 1.0 perspective, because you didn't live through this headache. I loved it. I'm a scum player. I took advantage of it at every sense of the word. But when Manaru and Atani Mindlink existed and there was no limitation on the board, I could stress Fen, do a blue maneuver with Fen, get a focus. Atani Mindlink would let me send the focus somewhere. I could take the focus off of Manaru, send it to Fen, and then get Manaru another focus. So I could double focus Fen, and with like push the limit, I could boost, I could reposition into like a barrel roll, stress him out. Manaru does a blue maneuver, takes a focus, gives the focus to him, then gets another focus back because of her ability. So you've got a double Fen was Ahsoka with Mindlink and Manaru, and how they did that was they made Manaru, within range 2. So you try to take Hera's ability down and make him fly a little closer.
Yeah, and so
yes, the 4 TLTYs was a pain in the ass. Long live harpoons.
Yeah, so I don't care how they want to do it. If they want to errata Rebels, that's fine with me too. My bigger thing is there has to be a point adjustment a little bit, in my opinion, to take some of those token sharing pieces up in price. Jin should not be 3 points. I think if you make Jin, no, we're not having 2.5. Don't cater to Charles. You're just catering to Charles. All you're doing.
Mystic, you get a free subscription. I don't know how to do that, but I'll figure it out.
Charles is going to buy you a free subscription to our network.
I will gift a sub.
All right. So
I did find the other 2 scenarios, by the way.
Yep. That's fine. We could cover those in a minute. Can I finish mine and then you do yours?
You're not allowed.
Do it.
Thank you. So I think TIE Fighter should be looked at to come down in points. I think across all factions. I disagree with you. I think it should. You can keep Howl Runner where she's at. I think TIE Fighters should become part of the meta again because they're iconic. They suck ass when it comes to maneuverability. Disagree with you.
I could not disagree with you.
That's fine.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Here's why. Here's the reason why
TIE Fighters were droid swarms before droid swarms were cool. They're the hipster droid swarm.
Yes.
Okay.
The
good.
reason
you
the
all
reason
don't.
why
I love
TIE
Droid
Fighters-
Swarm.
the reason why TIE fighters don't see their greater share of the meta, because TIE fighters is still good, don't get me wrong. The
They're
reason why they don't
not.
see their greater share of the meta is because there are other options that are available for the particular factions that do have the TIE fighters. The only exception is Rebel, because the Rebel TIE fighters are just terrible.
Yeah, they're named pilot only though. There's no generic
Yeah, exactly.
TIE, so
but because there are other options that are available in that faction, people tend to gravitate more towards those other options because people like to fly those other options. But you can still fly the original Howl Runner and Infernal Squadron Swarm and still be very, very effective
I disagree.
in the Empire.
So Chris, I'm gonna ask a question real quick. When you say TIE fighters need to be cheaper, are you including the Mining Guild TIE fighter in this?
Yes.
Okay, I'm in. Okay. Done. I'm in. I'm jumping ship on you, JJ. I'm all for Scum Mining Guild TIE swarms.
Yeah. You want to know why? Because JJ ran one against me with closed stable, whatever they call them.
Stable closer. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Against my droid swarm. And I won't say that I had a little bit better dice than he did when I needed them, but they weren't so aggressively, insanely that much better that it negated that game. But again, maneuverability, different things kind of played into that. So I think if JJ spent the next 4 months running those, he would be very good at it. But at the exact same time, the droids had a very easy time against them, and I didn't even have discords. You know, you start adding discords, and those things just start dropping off. I start adding ions; those things start dropping off. The droids outhandedly, they outhandedly took
Did
down.
You stop on rocks?
They could go. Yeah, those fuckers can stop on a rock. They can stop and barrel roll off it.
I'm asking if you stopped on a rock.
No. One droid.
Yeah, one droid did. Yeah,
that was
the
it.
Rest of it was pure engagement.
The reason I was asking is because with the droids being able to stop on rocks, of course they're going to outfly the TIE fighters. But if it's just one, then okay, then you're giving fair apples to apples. I will concede and shut up.
All right. So, so I think TIE fighters need more love. Personally, I think X-wings should go up in price. And that's a very hot take that a lot of people don't, especially Rebel X-wings. 100% should not be 38 fucking points. No need.
Especially Resistance X-wings. They need to all go up. Name pilots and everything.
All right.
Fuck Resistance X-wings.
Okay. Yes and no, but I guarantee you the Rebel X-wings are definitely designed to go up in price. They should not be 38 points for an I-1. They just shouldn't. Not at their health and cost level. I don't care. If you could get rid of token sharing, then we could talk about a different change. But with the token sharing and the things you can do with those things, they're pretty. Again, it's great for good new players to play because it gets them excited to play that game. But other than that, they're not designed to be in competitive, and they're going to do very well in competitive play. Period. With new scenarios, they're going to. It's a thing. So I think there's that. I agree with Charles that there's there's definitely fire spray ones that need to go down. But at the same token, there's how many other unused ships that could just use a bump, right? Like, okay. Star Vipers, G1As. Like, I would love to be able to play my fucking Mist Hunters. Like, you have no idea.
Bro, so they can make the G1A free and no one would run it.
I would.
Ship is terrible.
I love it. I love running Forlom, but that's just me. Anyway. And I agree with you. I think on the Resistance side, I think Rose and Fen need to go up a hell of a lot more in price. I think those stupid little Resistance pods, because of what they can do, need to go up. Especially with Fen or Rose with C-3PO needs to go up in price. And I agree with JJ on the or you on the FOs. I think we need to start seeing those generic FOs go down a little bit. And that's because I own enough of them to fly a swarm too. I have a photo show in my house. So, so I agree on that aspect. I don't agree on the Jedis to some extent. I think some of the named Jedis could go up in price, but I want to be very careful because I think until Rebels gets a gauntlet, there is an issue I feel with that. Without that gauntlet, the Rebels or the Republic have a harder time with some of that. I think V-Wing should go down in price though. Selfishly, I think they should all go down 1 point. All of them. Every single one of them should go down 1 point. and I won't give away the secret of why I think it is, because we have an amazing list that if they go down 4 points, I will 100% be running. Like, I will dump Separatist to run Republic at Adepticon. That's a fact right there.
Y'all heard that.
Yep. No, I'm dead serious. Like, I was actually, if I had more practice, I'd be running it at Crossroads right now. I just don't have the practice with it. But if we lose...
So here's my hot take.
Yep.
AMG gives into peer pressure and releases the torrent in its own individual.
Oh, God. I would love that, too. I would like that.
Don't shake your head at me, JJ. You know it needs to happen just as much as I do.
Give me a belly rub, too.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it doesn't need to happen. Yes, it absolutely needs to happen, but it ain't gonna happen anytime soon.
Hey, how about you give me a torrent and a belly rub together? There you go. Put those in the
I
bag.
would buy that double pack in a heartbeat, Chris. You and I could split cost on that so fast.
I agree with you though. I own both factions, so like I'm all in on that. I need 5 belly rubs, and I only got 3. I want 5 because I want to run them like those Kirax.
Now that I've been watching Clone Wars, I want to run so many torrents it's not even funny.
Oh, I know. Can you imagine if they lowered torrents a couple of points? It would be fun. Great.
Yeah.
But either which way, I think the V-Wing should come down 1 point. Or if you want to make the Besh upgrade free, I guess I would take that as well. I would prefer to see a 4 point or like a point reduction by 1. And if you want to give me a Besk for free, and then I'm all in on that too. Because Esk is silly and like is just meme worthy. You can, because I can't fit anything in Republic that guarantees crits. Like if I had Greedo Gunner in Republic or something crazy like that, like something where I could guarantee crits.
Marksmanship.
Can you run marksmanship on a V-Wing?
The I3s, right?
Yeah. So now that's 2 extra points. No, thank you. Like, give me a point reduction, and I'll test that. But I've tested it because I've tested running. You could run like 6 V-Wings and something, and a Naboo, one of those Naboo starfighter things. And I don't think it does as well as people think it does, but it's fun to run. It's a Chris list. So, on the opposite side for droid swarms, I don't think there should be any points increase or reduction to droids. I think tubs. I think the i3 generic tub should go down in price to match the i1 tub, so that it's identical. And I think K2B4 should go up in price immediately.
Why? Okay, back this hype train up just a second, CIS player. Why does the i3 need to be the same point as the i1?
Because it is for the Vulture, so why not make it for the tub too?
Because it shouldn't be for the Vulture.
Well, it is, so...
There is no valid reason why a ship that is 2 initiative points higher should be the same points. That's terrible.
Then let's lower all the I1s and put the I3s the same point they are now.
Or just make the I3s more expensive.
No, they're not going to... I don't think they'll do that. But they might. But I think the big thing is that K2B4, I think, was undercosted before, and people were sleeping on it. I mean, I've been running that since, October, end of October, early November-ish. If I was a better player, I would have won GSP's thing or been in the top cut for their final. So, I'm just not that great of a player, I don't think. And, but that K2B4, I think should go up in price. Like, I think that 5 points for that is definitely not worth, I take that over Kraken almost any day with free independent calculates. Without the free independent calculates, 5 points is fine. But unless they're going to make independent calculate go up in price, I don't know. So those are my hot takes. JJ?
All right. So the last 2 scenarios that we got here, one of them is a snatch and grab scenario where you'll place an objective towards in the center. And you have to go in, and as an action, you would take that token onto that ship, and you are trying to basically survive and have that token on there. If the ship that's carrying that particular token is taken out, then it's dropped where it is, and then any player can use an action if they're within range 1 of it to grab it, and then hang on to it. There's a big objective points that you get for hanging on to it to the end of the match. And that's basically what you're trying to do. Kind of think kind of like a capture the flag almost type of scenario.
So swarms win this, and rebels win this.
So I mean, my first thought was a Starwing because you got to Van Slam the hell out of everywhere, right?
Yeah.
That's not legal though. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But beyond that, I mean, the other thing I would think of is just a ship that can move really, really fast. And my first thought was the Falcon because they can do the 4 straight boost, and that is faster than a 5 straight. So I think that
better than
and
a
on top
4
of that,
straight
they're
boot.
what?
Shadowcatcher's doing a 5 straight with a 5K turn slam.
How did they get the slam though?
Did they not translate that into 2.0? Because 1.0 you could do it with advanced slam.
You're thinking burnout slam, which hasn't come into.
Oh yeah, 1.0 you could put advanced slam on a Shadowcaster and do a 5 straight with a 5K and just be halfway across. You'd be all the way on the other side of the board turn 1.
Yeah. Now, while I think that the swarm is good to try to go grab that particular objective, the problem is that if you're spending an action and you die, and now you have to spend another action to pick it up again, and then die, and again you have to be within range of that particular objective to do it. Are you now breaking up your formation to have a few go after to the objective that died and is now behind you, or would you rather have a larger ship that can take a few hits and get away and still punish from range? Like for me, I think I would choose the latter. I mean, it's a preference point, but I think that the large base ship that can do that probably has a better shot.
That's true. Same with like the Soonser Fells, or the stupid defenders, or Jedis that have the extra high maneuverability. Anything that has high maneuverability is going to be really good in this. I think the difference with like rebels is the token sharing. So yep, I took my action to pick it up, and I'm going to give you a focus because I'm Hera, and you don't have to get it unless you need it. So only if you need it. Oh, you rolled natties? You don't need it. I'll save it for somebody else. Oh, you didn't roll natties? Here's a focus.
So just real quick, back to the point mods. I think scimitars need to be cheaper.
Okay,
you mean the CIS?
Yep.
I agree. I was thinking TIE Bomber when you said that. So yeah, sorry.
No, I'm thinking like the actual scimitar ship, the Maul's ship.
Yeah, the
I think I want to see them played more. I think they should be a little cheaper. Not a crazy amount. I'm not talking about like rebuild the world here, but something that would just make it a little more playable. Because I watched Duncan play that, and it looks like a fun ship, and I would really like to play it. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I played it with 5 droids before, and you don't win, but it's fun to play. It's fun to play.
Hey, was it Octor that won the Australian Nationals with that? With a variation of that, he basically had Dooku with heightened perception and a tractor beam, and then a gaggle of vultures, and he would initiative 7 tractor right into all those arcs of the droids, and he took the championship. So it's possible.
It's fun. It's Octor Khan. He plays more X-Wing than all of us combined.
He plays more X-Wing in one day than I play in like a year, it seems like.
Yep. And you're right. Grievous crew is undercosted, but I'm going to keep that to myself because I don't want AMG to get word of that.
You just announced it on the stream, dumbass.
I know, but to what the 50 people that watch our show, I'm okay with that. Nobody's going to run to AMG and be like, Tanner said that Grievous is undercosted. We should we should bring that crew cost. Come on, 3 points to get rid of that, and if a ship dies, I get I get to fucking re-ready that. Okay, I'll put that in a droid swarm all day long.
Yep, exactly.
They'll only know if you're painting something. That's actually sad, Wookie Barber. I'm not painting on stream, but I have been painting at home. It's actually somewhat therapeutic, I found. I don't know, maybe we'll do a paint cast, just be dicks.
You and I are 2 different people because painting is so frustrating for me and I'm so terrible at it. There is not a reason that I would ever want to do that voluntarily.
I am terrible at it and frustrated with it too, but it was okay, maybe it's because of the kids, because my kids painted with me. Maybe that's why. Maybe they're the ones that made it better for me. Anyway, JJ, other stuff, because we got to wrap up so we can do our Boba cast. I really want to do Boba cast.
Last one that we have here is a tagging scenario. So similar to zone control, there are going to be scattered objectives around the play area. You go up to that particular objective and you tag it. You spend an action to flip it either to your side, like to show that you've tagged it, and you gain points for every objective that remains tagged. An enemy ship can come in and tag it to flip it over to their side, so that way they can score it there. And during the end phase, you gain points according to how many of those objectives you've tagged and are in your control. So in this particular one, I think that more higher initiative ships have the advantage on this one, because obviously if you're able to move last, get in range, tag it, and keep it last, then you're going to end up scoring those points there. So that definitely helps you to really maintain control of those things for a longer time. That being said, that also exposes you, because if your enemy knows that you're going to go for that particular objective, all they have to do is just make sure they just set a trap, like, kill box for that particular area, to discourage you from going there. So I do see that the I1s can also be particularly strong for that too, because they could just set up those kill boxes. So it's a nice little balance in between the two. So
yeah, and I think you're right. I think bombs help with that, especially like Captain Nim. If they ever bring Captain Nim into fucking 2.0, 2.5, like Captain Nim is pretty good for that. I mean, being able to hold that bomb. Electroproton bomb stock kind of go up a little bit with trajectory simulator in that.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
Again,
what else could go up is the blaze bomb.
The blaze bomb goes up in stock. Yep.
So that sits on the board for a minimum of 3 turns.
Yep. Proton missiles, or whatever the fuck they're called. Those go up. And again, electric chafe pod. There you go. I don't think that these costs should change right now. I think we should let this play out, but those go up in stock. Like me being able to take a TIE bomber and shoot the electric chafe missiles, and then kind of go around it and then drop more bombs that I can delay fuse. That's the control piece in that I feel is great. And that's probably going to be one of the scenarios I enjoy playing more than other ones, only because of that control piece. And you can ask Charles, that's one of the arguments I've had about Destiny versus X-Wing, is Destiny has a lot more varied win styles than X-Wing did, and that's why I enjoyed Destiny per se better. And that kind of goes the same way when you look at Flesh and Blood. They have different win style conditions for it, and it's a card game, so it's easier to do. But those are the enjoyable pieces of the card game that I need somebody to translate into X-Wing. That's what I want. I don't need just kill. I want alternate win style formats, which is why I've never really actually been against objectives. I've been way more pro objectives than a lot of other shows have been. And that's wise, because I like these weird alternate win conditions. I mean, because again, think about being able, if we ever get Star Vipers in some of these objectives, the crazy maneuvers they can do. HMPs do crazy maneuvers. There's a benefit to some of these weird things that we go, they're not really great in a dogfight, but they're really, really effing good when we look at objectives. And that's what I want. And that's what I'll be honest, that's what I'm enjoying about this anticipation. I just want them to release the shit so I can play it. Because I would feel better about it than us sitting here like Jimmy wiggling, discussing all this shit when we could just have everything,
Yeah. I think that it's definitely going to be a challenge for tournament play, right? Because like now, right, I'm officially going to Adepticon. If I haven't announced it, yes, I will be at Adepticon.
And you'll be staying in my room.
So I'm part of
me and JJ and Chris show.
That's right. Part of the anticipation now that's kicking in for me in overtime is the list building aspect, right? What am I going to bring to this tournament here?
Now, when's the last time you did an in-person tournament?
November of last year. So part of the anticipation, right, is like, what are you going to bring for your list here? And, as of now, I'm going through every faction to see, what I can possibly bring that I enjoy flying, that I know that I'm going to be good with for this particular style, which is what dogfighting, right? Now you add in, the possibility of having random events happen during a standard tournament for these particular events, and everything that you think you knew about list building for a particular tournament gets thrown out the window now, right? Because you list build and then you compare it to how you think it's going to do in a particular scenario, and now you're not so sure. Right now, you're like, well, it's really good against this, but if I happen to draw, this particular scenario at this point, then I'm gonna get creamed. So it's exciting, and it's gonna be like uncharted territory. But as a person who loves Star Wars Armada, who plays objectives, in that particular thing, I think it's really good. I think it's a nice spice to X-Wing, honestly. So.
Yep. And when I learned how to play Armada, that was like one of the big things. Like, I hated the dial maneuvering, and I hate the fact of how you shoot. I hate that so much. You shoot before you move. Don't like that at all. I do like the objective aspect to it. And I will tell you, I won my first Armada game the first time I played because of the objectives. That was the only reason I won. Because the guy playing against me was so much better than I was.
Was it Phil?
Yeah, it was Phil. Yeah, because Phil owns everything Armada, and I told him I would learn how to play it, so I could play it with him. Now he's super involved with hockey, but whatever.
He's always been super involved with hockey, but that's a different story.
That will change, and I told him that I'll continue to play Armada with him, just him and me. Like, we did it. We did it one night. I went over to his house for like 5 hours, and we got pizza and had a couple drinks and played Armada. 2 or 3 games of Armada. He built the list for me, so I think he, tried to disadvantage me the second time. But
nah, Phil would never do that.
I'm just giving him shit. All right. So, anything else? We have 3 minutes. Otherwise, I want to dive into the Book of Boba, but I need to use the pisser a minute. So, we're going to take a 5-minute break so everybody can use the pisser. But I want to do the Book of Boba for our Universe Extended episode. And if anybody has anything else, great. Otherwise, thank you all for joining us. We will be doing spoilers, obviously, because it is over. And Charles and I will probably have a very heated debate where we throw plastic spaceballs at each other or something. I don't know. Because I think we're on opposite sides of the spectrum on this show.
We've been on opposite sides of the spectrum from this show since week 1, brother.
I disagree with you on that. If you go back to the second one we casted, you and I were on the same page. But everything changes. So thank you all for joining us. We will tentatively be back next Sunday. I am at Crossroads. Charles and JJ, if they can figure out and want to host it, I will send them all my setups, and they're happy. You can happily host the show without me. You do not need. I am not an important tool in this cog.
You're the only tool in this cog.
That's probably very true. And I'm seeing Tool March 8th. Side note, but I'm very excited about that. By the way,
I would be too.
Sorry. Shit. We're just tangenting. Anyway, so if we aren't back on that day, we will be back next week at minimum on Wednesday to cast 100%, especially if new shit comes out. So I will not promise a Sunday cast, but I will try very hard. But with the whole GSP crew being there, and our whole crew from Grand Rapids being there, and our other extended crew from Detroit being there, if I don't get back in time, I apologize ahead of time.
Enjoy your time, my friend.
Either which way.
You know what'll happen? JJ and I will just set up a camera at my house and we'll play X-Wing on the table.
I would love for you guys to do that and stream it, and I hope that would be amazing. I'll tell you what, if you all are going to do that, I will tell Dion to do the whole like follow us afterwards thing. So like if you guys are serious about that, I'll see if I can get all the viewers from Top Cut to come over to our stream.
Nice.
He's going to be there anyway. So.
I'm in. JJ, if you want to come and get it set up, man, I'm in. I don't have anything going on.
Is it?
All right.
Right on.
All right, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and we'll be back with Book of Boba Fett for our extended universe, the last episode about Book of Boba Fett that you'll ever hear from Planning Phase Syndicate.